Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. Carrying directly on from the previous video, I had taken a photo and generated a set of lines using the intersection points of my guidelines to create this wireframe side or plan or front view and a side view. We did that by making one version of it and then rotating it 90 degrees so that we have effectively the base upon which to draw their dome. The first thing I start off with is a base, and because we've got two opposing points, I can simply hit R on the keyboard, draw it out. I know that I've got a base that is, or should be, a square, and it should be roughly 6 meters or 8 meters. Sorry, in fact, 8 meters and 66 I think was the measurement. That 8 meters and 94, and that would have come around because when I was drawing the lines, I wasn't doing it to the original dimension. I was doing it where things were intersecting, and that's not always the same. No, I'm just saying. Actually, for unhide, in fact, we can hide that. We had 8 meters and 66. We can hide that, and we're left with this. Okay, how do I start? Well, there's several ways. I'll just draw I've got a few there that I don't need. Get rid of those. I draw a guide from the apex onto axis. I know that the intersection point, if done correctly, will allow me to, yes, that's an intersection, will allow me to generate this line, and I stick that in there as a guide, a reference, which we'll delete at some point. The next thing you can do, I can get rid of those guides now. One thing you want to do is to keep those guides being deleted, because you'll have problems later on if you you'll get confused which ones you're working on. Now you've got to orientate your brain around the lines of what intersects and what doesn't. So I'll draw another guide, not a line, from this intersection point and this intersection point, and where those two guidelines meet is the intersection of the point here. Now that's the top, the lid, the square, the wee flattened pyramid. And so if I rotate this around the center point, so I rotate it 90 degrees times 3, gives me those points. So I know that those points are the right height and in theory are in the right location for me to generate some of my other points. Now I've done this several times, and I've actually deliberately done this. It's an error. It's correct, but it's an error. You've got to be careful, because the lid isn't square to our boundary lines here of their base. It's actually on a 45-degree angle. So what you have to do, this gets tricky, your brain will see something and you will swear that, yeah, that's right, that's our pyramid at the top, very squished pyramid, but these intersection points aren't the correct ones, not for what we want to do here. So I can The reason I did that deliberately because I've done that several times. You can leave these in. That's zero problem there. But where they are is in this point just here. And you think, well, that's not going to give me my intersection points. And you're quite right, it won't. If you're keeping up with me. But if I put that line there and that line there, all it does is give me the height of the intersection. Okay, so you think, well, how the hell then do we get this diagonal? Because it ain't those. Or is it? Because they're all at the same height, well, let's do it. Let's draw a line in. And you're going, oh, it is. So two different grid lines intersecting allows you to draw your top pyramid on the angle. And as I say, for some that will be quite clear, others will be quite confusing because you're trying to generate in space that line. So if now I can rotate that by 90 degrees times 3, gives me my top pyramid. Well, it will in a moment, because what I then can do is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got my pyramid at the top. Double click on each face. Maybe want to make as a group just to make sure they don't interfere. And we're starting our dome. I normally start with either this or the legs, either the very top or the very bottom. The legs are the easiest to draw. You've already got one of the points of the leg, what we'll call it. And all you need to do, and what I do, again, there's more than one way to do this. I drop down the points here, because they're in the same plane, and I rotate those. In fact, I'll be a bit clever. I'll generate the third line, and you rotate those 90 degrees times 3 to give you the points for the intersection. Now, the more your lines you put in, that's fine. That gets confusing, but this is to create the full dome. If you get a little bit clever, you can just work on one quadrant. It means a lot less lines to confuse you, and it's quicker. And then you just select those, rotate those as a group, and then you can do the other three quadrants. But that's not what I'm doing. I can draw a line to there, and a line down there, and I should be able to I'll draw another line down there, create that surface. Now on that, I can rotate 90 degrees, and that's why you didn't need the other lines, because I've created the surface in one quadrant, rotated it, so you didn't need these other lines confusing and confounding your drawing. I can literally get rid of those. The reason I actually did them originally in my original process was that it allowed me to see what was happening, and why I'm hesitating is that I'm thinking that I had a different approach where we actually created a sphere, and we saw the lines of intersection through the sphere and see where they were, what they would generate. But nonetheless, the approach I'm doing now is the preferred approach because it's clearer. But drawing it's easier than me than you listening to me, I'm sure. So now we've got a point where all we really need are these 2 points here. And, well, I need this point here now. And the easiest way to do that is back to the guides, pop that up there, pop that over here, which is the other point of the guide, where they intersect, and they should intersect by, yes, shows intersection. I can then generate my lines from that to these other points, and allows me to create the remaining part of the dome. So we look there, down to that point, and we've got a point missing. The reason for that is that I had removed one of the lines. I run around here 90 degrees, just need the one, create the 2 remaining faces, and now we've got everything that the dome requires. I will save these. I'll save all those as individual faces. I can select them and rotate them (90 degrees) times 3 gives me my dome. I can get rid of the grid work, delete the guides, tidy everything up. I can get rid of the, well, I'll actually leave the center one for a reason. Get rid of the individual lines. And now we've got our dome. Unhide, get rid of that. So now when we're looking at it, if we go face on, take the parallel projection out, you can then use the view here where you've got rid of the perspective to see just how close your dome has been created to the photo. And sometimes you'll pick up discrepancies such that you want to change it. Like you might say, well, this surface here really needs to come in, and it shows it on the dimension. So you know that there's a wee bit of inaccuracy there. But at least you know it's symmetrical, because one half was created and then flipped over. And when the dome is created, you can reliably say that it's representative of the photo. Hide these. And so that can be a starting point for you. Now I'll just group those. Now you can do exactly the same thing with the other dome type that we had, one that had longer bases or longer legs. So you've got, I'll actually unhide everything, because I'll get rid of this, hide, I'll get rid of that, I'll get rid of that. I actually, oops, I got rid of the wrong thing. Some of these items, I'm hiding the wrong things, but this was started out with a different photo, and if I get it right, the 2 domes should be identical. But the exercise was just to show the method of, that I use to achieve the domes. You can see that this was the grid upon which I made the original photo, because it's at a different height. If I reveal everything again, I've got them somewhere. I've deleted it or hidden it or something. So that's my method. Hopefully it is of some benefit to you, and if not, well, you'll have to find another method for yourself. But I'm going to suggest that this is a good one to go and to at least try in the process, so that when you come to do your decision making on which way you prefer, you've at least achieved or eliminated this process. Okay, waffled way too much on that again. Hopefully it was of some benefit for those that are hanging in there, and if not, sorry about that. Okay, we'll see you later, and we'll take this what I consider quite a leap forward. Okay, see you later. Bye.